Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo weekly meeting, featuring guest speaker, District Governor Keith Hodkinson.
A time that is certainly unlike anything we've ever experienced. And we ask God, or whoever we believe in, to look down on us and help us through this period where we need each other. We need to remain engaged. We need to bring many of our fellow Rotarians back in and teach them of why we're here from the very beginning, and that's to help our communities and our world. This is a very tough time, and for us to sit down and not do anything is the wrong course of action. So please give us the strength to feel emblazoned within us with that Rotary spirit that we have, to make sure that we get through this and come out the other end of the storm much stronger. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, Janet. As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Toledo Federation of Teachers as our August weekly meeting sponsor. Thank you, Rotarian Kevin Dalton. Now I'll invite Program Chair Bob Savage for a brief comment on last week's fabulous Jamie Farr meeting. Bob?
Thanks, President Alex. Just to in not thanking the person who actually originally connected us to Jamie, and is why we had him here last Monday, and that's Labib Hajar, who many of you may know as the proprietor and at least original head chef. I don't know how much cooking he does anymore at the Beirut and Biblos restaurants, but certainly thank you to Labib. And I know I think he was under the weather that day, wasn't able to join us. And then I just also wanted to pass along. Jamie reached out to me after the meeting and said thanks for having him at the meeting, and he really got a kick out of it, and also passed along thanks not only to our club, but thanks to all of Rotary and what Rotary does in this country and around the world. Back to you, President Alex.
And actually, if I may, just really quick, everybody, I just want to share, that was a terrific program last week, Bob. That actually got viewed over 2,000 times on Facebook, and actually the post itself reached over 4,500 people. So it was just a fantastic success. So congratulations.
That's great.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody who was involved. Has there been any discussion about making Jamie a honorary Rotarian?
I think someone suggested that maybe that's in order as long as he agrees to come back next year.
Okay, well, maybe we can table that, but I think that would be great. All right, thanks, Bob. Just a couple of quick updates that I have. Our Habitat Remodel project, we still need volunteers. Again, this is a great opportunity for engaging with other Rotarians. We need 4 volunteers for tomorrow. So this is our final call. We need to know by the end of today. Tomorrow, it's August 18th. So volunteering from 10 to 4. And again, please reach out to Kurt Church if you are interested. And we definitely need your help. Also, another point that kind of came up during the week last week, I want to reiterate that we will not be going back to meetings until we meet the criteria set forth by the COVID Task Force Committee. And then when we do go back, we still will have a Zoom option. Of course, we'll go back meeting safely, and we definitely will have a Zoom option. So we will have the best of both scenarios. Now I'd like to introduce our Executive Director, Kathy Tate, to give us a brief Rotary update. Kathy?
Just a couple of points I want to make to everyone. We're in our first grant cycle in this new Rotary year. Service committees are all meeting. We received 15 grant applications. And if you've not been a part of that as a new member or a longtime member, it's a great opportunity to witness what we ask your funds and your donations to go to for our foundation, which is separate from the Rotary International Foundation. So just be alert to those committee meetings that are listed in the spoke, and they're announced at the end of the meeting on Monday. And please feel free to join the Zoom meeting. You can email me if you don't have a link, and just test the waters. And I would encourage you to join those committees when it works for you. And it's a great way for you to participate in a service simply because it helps you remain in contact with others when we're not meeting in person and we don't have those in-person service committees. I want to let everyone know, and I know President Alex announced it last week, about our move to the Toledo Club. If you didn't hear it, we are moving to the Toledo Club as far as the offices are concerned. It's certainly a process because we are just now able to get everything out of the park in. Won't happen until the end of the month as far as the actual physical move, and then it will take a little while to unravel, probably not a good word, unwrap all of the things that we're moving to this new space. So I just want to make sure I share that with you and remind you, this wasn't on my list of things, but I'm going to be using a PO box number, which is PO Box 1446 for mailing. It's just easier on me for now because I'm not routinely going downtown, and that's a mommy zip code 43537. And I know some of you, maybe many of you, have had mail returned. It's been, I'll use the word debacle with the post office, but as far as I know, everything is coming through now. I check it routinely. And then just two more things, or maybe one more thing. Monday morning, just for those who may or may not know, there's an email that goes out every Monday morning that has the Zoom link, that has the upcoming meeting of who the program speaker is. And I know sometimes these things go to spam. You may or may not be aware of it. Just look for that email, which comes from Abby. And then I just want to thank the monthly sponsors who are continuing to support our club. And again, today it was Toledo Federation's community there, and thank them very much. And I think that's it. So thanks, President Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kathy. Sorry about the announcement of you moving the offices last week. I guess my agenda was a little bit more aggressive than yours. I apologize. Okay, so now I'd like to have Committee Chair of the Membership Engagement Committee, Maria White, make a brief announcement. Maria?
Thank you, President Alex. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I am on the road, so I apologize that I cannot turn my camera on, but we just wanted to put out a plea to all members to please complete the member engagement survey that was sent out to you on Friday, bright and early by Abby. I already filled out my survey. It took less than 5 minutes to complete. So we're really asking you if you would just take a few minutes. And if you have any issues doing it online, then all you need to do is let Kathy or me know, and we will be happy to send you out one in the mail that you can return. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Maria. Well, we'll just let you know you were on camera for a little bit, at least your eyes and your nose were. So, and now I'd like to invite our district governor, David Dennis, to introduce our speaker, or excuse me, our assistant governor, David Dennis, to introduce our speaker, District Governor Keith Hodkins. But I'd like to say a couple of comments first about Dave. He's been a member of the Rotary Club of Reynolds Corners since 1995 and has twice served at the club as the club's president. His district activities include being chair of the Toledo Metro Area President's Council, and in 2016, then DG Doe asked Dave to serve as assistant governor for Area 3. Dave continues in this position and is happy to serve as part of DG Keith's team.
Thank you, President Alex. It's my pleasure today to introduce District Governor Keith Hodkinson. Keith has been a Rotarian for 37 years, and in that time, he has served as president of the Tiffin Club twice, the only person to have done so. He is a Paul Harris Fellow +1. The second Paul Harris Fellow Award was awarded in 2017 by District Governor Doe Nguyen for Ken's distinguished service to the district. In 1985, Keith was one of 5 Rotarians in Tiffin that developed the Tiffin Rotary Community Auction. This was an annual televised event which raised, in its 33 years, over $750,000. In 2013, Keith kicked off a program called the Rotary Technology Initiative, where the club purchased 30 iPads to be used in lieu of textbooks at the Tiffin Middle School science classes. Each iPad proudly carried the Rotary logo. In 2014, as past president and a member of the Tiffin Rotary Club Foundation, Keith helped encourage the club to move into a more supportive role of international efforts. Tiffin became one of several clubs in the district that helped fund the Honduras project. And in January 2015, Keith and 8 other Rotarians went to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, and began a week-long mission trip working with teenage girls at a small local orphanage where they repaired toilets, water pumps, computers, windows, and other general construction. Keith was named as district governor nominee in the fall of 2017 and began his ride up the governor's line of succession, where he became Tiffin's first district governor since 1946. Keith has worked in radio broadcasting for 45 years. Currently, he is hosting a local morning show that serves the Findlay, Tiffin, and Fostoria markets. Keith recently retired from his sports and school photography business of 30 years. Personally, Keith has a great love of rescue dogs and was the chief developer of the Tiffin Bark Park, a 1.5-acre off-leash dog park in Tiffin. Keith is single. He is a father of 2 sons, Eric and John, and unfortunately, his 3rd son, Alan, passed away this April. Rotarians, please, since if you can stand, please stand, and let's give a rousing welcome to District Governor Keith Hodkinson.
Thank you. No, there's no need to stand. I don't need to see belt buckles. Appreciate it. It is so good to be with all of you. I really, truly wish I could have done this in person. I had been looking forward to speaking to the Toledo Club for basically a couple of years, because I've been to your meetings, I've been to your fundraisers, and I know the special things that you do. It is good to see so many good friends in the gallery. Doe, of course, is the man that really got me moving forward in this process. Danny Woodcock, who I helped lose. I think he lost his drone in Costa Rica, that I was there for that. And of course, Tim Ryan and everybody. I really appreciate you having me here. Thank you, Danny. This time is an absolutely bizarre time. It is an unusual time that we are living in right now. We cannot shake hands. We cannot hug our friends. We appear on a television screen like on an episode of the Hollywood Squares, which is a game show for those of you that may be too young to remember it. We have had so many of our special events canceled. The All Ohio Pets, the President-elect training seminar in March, that was canceled. Our district conference was canceled. We can't go to concerts. We can't go to plays. We can't go to movies. We can't go to sporting events. Our social lives, our work lives, our Rotary lives have all been turned upside down. I'm going to take you back to the last time the Ohio President-elect Training Seminar was held. That was in March of 2019 down in Columbus. That's where all the incoming presidents that are going to become president in July of that year get their training to take over their specific clubs. I had just spoken to the group about the way we now could have new clubs, expansion clubs, satellite clubs, cause-based clubs. I sat down and Rex Engel got up and spoke about the foundation. And literally as an offhanded comment, Rex said, "How many of you know about global grants?" And less than half of the room raised their hand. And I tilted my head like a dog that just heard an unusual sound and wondered, was I actually hearing right, that less than half of the leadership of the incoming presidents had no idea why we raised the billions and billions of dollars to do good in the world, because they knew nothing about global grants. Local clubs, your club especially, has done so much for not only your area, but for projects around the world. Just this past early part of this year, I met with the Sri Lankan ambassador who came to thank you for all the work that all of you have done. You support baseball leagues and hospital programs and libraries and all kinds of things, drug abuse programs, but the real life-saving humanitarian work of Rotary is done far away from your area. It's performed in the mountains of Guatemala, the hot, humid cities of India, or the mountainous, cold villages of Mongolia. Rotary is everywhere, doing everything to help so many people, and a good number of you, even here today, like I was a number of years ago, have absolutely no idea what we do. Today, I'm going to take you on a short journey. It's my journey on how I came to realize that I could make a difference in this world. I tell people that I have been in Rotary for 37 years, but I've been a Rotarian for just 8, because it was 8 years ago, at the conclusion of my second term as president of the Tiffin Club, that I helped our board of directors to donate $3,000 to a program in Honduras that Sean McGee of the Swanton Club was going around with a dog and pony show, along with 8 other clubs wanting to put in money together. So all of a sudden it hit me that the $3,000 that we were giving, along with the $3,000 that each of the 8 other clubs was giving, and all of a sudden with matching funds from the Rotary Foundation, all of a sudden we had some real money doing some real good in a place that was really bad. To top it off, I decided to put my money where my mouth was, and I purchased the airfare and the hotel to go to San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Listed at the time, if you would go onto Google and ask, what's the most dangerous city in the world? That would be it, San Pedro Sula, Honduras. In fact, it was so dangerous that another one of my Tiffin Rotarians that came along, Gina Reuter, who's blonde, had to have her hair dyed dark because blondes are so much in danger of being kidnapped for ransom or worse. Our plans were to work up in the mountains for a week on a school that was being built by a number of other clubs. Unfortunately, heavy rains had made the roads impassable for the 2-hour ride up the mountain. So we had a plan B. Plan B was to continue working at a girls' orphanage in the city for a week. All of us from District 6600 did the basics to help give some dignity back to these 20 young ladies that ranged in age from 6 to 20. They were throwaway human beings whose parents had dropped them off to this living facility hidden behind a 10-foot high concrete wall with razor wire on top, unable to care for them any longer. But once you were inside and the big steel door was closed and locked like that of a bank vault, you were in their home, and these girls treated it as such. Even though they didn't speak any English whatsoever, you could tell that they were happy. They were happy even with no cell phones. They were happy even though they couldn't leave the facility without an escort. They were even happy without a lot of the necessary common supplies of girls becoming young women. In that week, each of us had our job. We installed refurbished computers. We rebuilt and painted a concrete wall that was starting to bow out and was in danger of collapsing on the girls. We replaced the dirty, greasy screens in the eating quarters that required us to rip out the old screening material and install new screens with new spline using a spline rolling tool. That's that rolling tool that puts the rubber in between so you can lock in the screen. It's very easy to find at Lowe's or Home Depot in this area, but not so easy to find in the most dangerous city in the world. Where at the local store, a True Value hardware store, there's a man, in fact, in front of all stores in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, there's a man standing outside with a sawed-off shotgun with very visible shells in his belt buckle, protecting it. Where when you walk in, the typical consumer takes the pistol out of his pocket, hands it to the man at the front door, who gives him a claim tag. He puts the pistol in a 12-inch by 12-inch locker, the same lockers that we use to put our shoes in at the YMCA. And when you're done shopping, you give your claim ticket back, he gives you your pistol back, and you go on your way. Gina, being the only female on the trip, helped the girls and older female employees clean out, repaint, and install new fluorescent lighting in the dark, moldy, bat, rat, or mouse feces-filled food storage room. She then took them all on a shopping trip into town with escorts to buy clothes, shoes, and yes, those much-needed hygiene supplies that they were lacking. They came back from their trip giddy with laughter. Gina was their new best friend. Being kind of a handy man, I got the job of repairing a water pump that was supposed to kick on when the city water system failed, which usually happened about twice a week. The pump had not worked in 2 years. In the sleeping quarters, there was a bathroom shower area with 5 toilets that were lined up side by side by side. Only 2 of the 5 had worked in the last year. So I offered to take on that challenge. Most of the repairs were pretty minor in nature, and within a day and a half, all of the 5 seats were working. But it was there, on my back, under a toilet, in the most dangerous city in the world, that I had my Rotary moment. With 3 Spanish-speaking girls staring down at me with smiles like I had just given them a puppy on Christmas morning, all because the last of the toilets flushed. And they were grateful. The most basic thing in the world is all they needed. At the end of the week, we threw a pizza party for all the girls and the staff. They dressed up and acted like it was their prom. But more importantly, they created a poster with all of our names on it and messages in English. But one stood out to me and most of our team. To this day, I still have a picture of it on my phone. It's a 3x5 pink index card, and it simply said, "Thank you for the attention." Did we personally save a life during that week? No. But as Rotarians, we made the lives of those girls more livable. But more importantly, they gave me a gift, a huge gift. They made me realize why I am a Rotarian. I truly believe that deep down, every human being has the desire to give back, to make the world a better place. Now, some in a relatively small way, but no less important, buy blankets, or they bring food or detergent to the local humane society. Others see a family at a Bob Evans trying hard to make ends meet, and quietly, with no attention brought on themselves, ask the waitress for that family's bill. And quietly, they pay the bill and leave before the family even knows that you did it. No one else knows about it, but you feel good. It makes you feel grateful, and it's a selfless act. My fellow Rotarians, being a member of Rotary can help you attain that same feeling that I received nearly 6 years ago by getting involved in your club and in your district. I know right now that things are discombobulated. Are we meeting in person? Are we doing a Zoom meeting? Are we meeting in person and doing a Zoom meeting, which now has its own name? It's a hybrid meeting. Things will continue to be in flux for the foreseeable future. But at some point, that pendulum will level off and the new normal will settle in. And at the time, you'll be able to go back to your fundraising and your meetings and your hugging and your handshaking and fist bumping and whatever form of expression you show to each other. I was in San Diego back in January for what's called the International Assembly. It's the last piece of the training puzzle where all 532 district governor-elects from around the world meet in one place. Multiple languages, interpreters, native dress, all listening to the same message. Rotary International President-elect at the time, Holger Kanak, spoke, and that's where he unveils the theme for the upcoming Rotary year. After an inspiring speech about all that Rotary has to offer, things like friendship, professional development training, leadership skills, travel, and so many others, he exclaimed in his German accent, "Rotary opens opportunities." We all cheered as the logo of the 3 doors representing the 3 facets of what we are. We have Interact, Rotaract, and of course, Rotary. But little did President Holger know that just 6 weeks later, his theme would be more important than ever. Because to me, those doors reflect Rotary, its past, its COVID-19 present, and eventually its post-pandemic future. We have opportunities behind us that we may have missed out on. We have opportunities beyond us that we won't know about until they're presented in front of us and the future comes and how we will react to them. But we also have opportunities laying in front of us today. Opportunities on how not only we maintain our clubs by making sure that any new member is right for our club, but also that we are right for them. We have all taken in members because they had a pulse and their temperature was 98.6 degrees. And in a year, they were gone. We did a poor job of introducing them into what Rotary is. We did a poor job of engaging them. Yes, it's a nice place to make business contacts. That's the reason why many of us joined in the first place, though no one ever wanted to say it. But the fact is, that's why we joined. Yes, it's a nice place to have lunch, yours especially, when you had it at the Park Hotel. Yes, you sometimes even get a good speaker. Little did I know that my original date of August 10th, I'd be bumped by Klinger to wait another week. But how do we keep them there? Because Rotary gives them something they get no place else. How do we make your club meaningful to them by finding the switch that's within them that makes them want to say and feel, I truly can make a difference in my family, in my community, and in my world. That's a culture that only you can build within your club. But you need to start now, so your members and you see the value of being a member of the #1 service organization in the world. This year, I challenge each and every club in our district to an opportunity. For as long as I can remember, we look every year to places around the world where we can help make people's lives healthier and safer. This Rotary year is different. This Rotary year, we turn and we look at ourselves. I've asked the Foundation Committee of District 6600, headed by Deb Cheney, to put together a program that I called the We Are One Community Grant Program. The program has easier forms to fill out. It already has started. I'm sure that David has shared information about it to you. On a scale basis, quite frankly, it's a fairly small program compared to your size, but we've set aside $63,000 $1,000 for each club in District 6600 so that each club can participate. And the reason I call it the We Are One grant program is because I wanted, if you look at the logo, when you see it, you'll notice the Rotary emblem is nowhere to be seen. I did that on purpose because I wanted to make sure that Rotary clubs got with Lions clubs and Kiwanis clubs and other foundations to get them to help out and be part of the program as well. But if you look closer, the Rotary colors are there. And the whole point of the program is to get other clubs involved. Every year, 7 to 10 clubs in our district take part in the grant process. 7 to 10 out of 63. Why don't the others take part? They say it's too cumbersome. It's too much work. Well, we've changed all that for this year, and we hope that they'll take part in it. The program has already started, and all we ask is that the program, which is a 2-to-1 grant match, for every $2 they raise, we give them $1, up to $1,000. The first thing we did was to ask clubs to opt out. If they didn't want to take part in it, they had to let us know by the end of this weekend. We know of 2 clubs that already have said they're not going to be taking part in it. Why did we do that? Because we wanted to make sure that if they were dropping out, the pieces of the pie got a little bit bigger for the other clubs that were taking part. And we want them to put together a project that helps the people that support your fundraisers every year and all the good that you do in your town. And we wanted to make sure that other people got involved with it as well. So I asked the clubs to have a group sit down via Zoom, if not in person, and come up with what can be done, as long as it carries one of the 7 areas of focus that we have. And by the way, in case you did not know, that this year, environment is now one of the 7 areas of focus. It used to be 6. It's a very workable deadline. We need to know by September 30th what your program is, and the funds will be dispersed as shortly after that as we can make it. As Rotarians, we call ourselves people of action, people that get things done. During this unsettling period, we can sit on our hands and do nothing, just waiting for this time to pass, or we can take action in new and unique ways. A person once said, quote, "If an organization is to realize its proper destiny, it must be evolutionary at all times and revolutionary on occasion." End of quote. That person was Paul Harris, who started us back in the early 1900s. Now is the time for all of us to be revolutionary in our thinking. Just because we always did it this way does not mean you cannot come up with new and exciting ways to get things done. Who would have ever thought 6 months ago 4 letters would change our lives? ZOOM. And now Zoom is part of our everyday life, and in some cases, too much of our everyday life. We can't imagine a world without it. It's what I call a pandemic pivot. Quickly, you change one action that's not moving forward to a new action that keeps you moving forward. Start thinking of new ways to pivot your club into success with new ways of gaining members, creating new clubs, building the Rotary Foundation, which is the lifeblood of all the good that we do in this world. Pivot into ways that make your communities and your world a better place. Utilize your younger members or members that may not have said a whole lot in the past on coming up with their ideas that will continue to move forward. Over the last 6 months, I bought a boat, an old boat, a 1986 Wellcraft, 23 foot for those of you that know boating. So it's not a real awesome looking boat, but it gets the job done. And I've gone on Lake Erie and Sandusky Bay every weekend. And I've learned something about it, is that we've been doing a lot of great things over the years, and we've been moving forward, and we're growing, and our foundations are growing, our endowments are growing, and all the things that we do are good. But with a boat, every so often, you get that idiot in a wave runner or a boat going by to knock your boat left and right, up and down, forward and backwards, and all you're trying to do is to keep the damn thing straight. But eventually the waves calm down and you continue to move forward. And that's exactly where we are right now. We're in the middle of that storm, that wave concoction that has come up and is knocking us around. But eventually we will move forward again. This will be a year of pandemic pivots and Rotary opportunities. Please see it as that and make sure that you and your club are people of action. Do all of you know what the fifth line of the four-way test is? Is it fun for all? Well, this will also be a fun year because even though we've had to have our district induction ceremony via Zoom on last Friday night, we now focus our eyes on April 22nd through 24th, 2021. It'll be at the Key Center Marriott in downtown Cleveland. International speakers, Rotary International executives, members from District 6600 clubs, leaders from our clubs, and more will be there. I'm a radio guy. I'm a rock and roll guy. I grew up listening to CKLW radio. Our weekend conference will kick off on April 23rd, Friday night, where I've rented out the entire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And we will have Rotary Rocks 2021. And why is that important? Because of the fact that, yes, our district conference is going on there. We'll have our first night there at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Also, District 6630 out of the Cleveland and Eastern Ohio are having their conference that weekend in a different hotel. They'll be at the Hall of Fame. We've also been asked by all the other districts within Ohio to buy tickets for that night. We've been asked by the district in the Detroit area to do the same. And just think of it, the entire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame filled with Rotarians for one night. It'll be the first time we've been together in a year. We'll have more details on that and they'll follow as we move along. Never forget the mission of Rotary. Some of you may not even know it, but it's filled with hope and inspiration. It's called to action. It says, together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. One piece of action took place about a week and a half ago. Many of you in this area know Jennifer Jones. Jennifer Jones is a Rotarian out of Windsor. She's been in Rotary for a long time, has been the face of many of our meetings that we've had. She was finally bestowed the ultimate honor for her, where she was named as Rotary International President nominee for 2022-2023, the first female to be a Rotary International President. And if you don't know how important that is, please understand that there are parts of the world where females are not necessarily held in the same standard as we may hold them. So this is a huge step, and there's no one better that will carry our group forward than her. Thank you very much. I'll open it up. If anyone has any questions or anything, I'll be happy to answer those. But thank you for the opportunity. And I promise you, when you are at the Toledo Club, I will be there.
For members of the club, again, same rules apply as always. If you've got questions, you can type them in the chat, in which case I'm still going to call on you and make you ask them directly. Or you can raise your hand through the participant window. I got a thumbs up. All right, so first question, I'm going to go to Danny Woodcock. Anybody unmute yourself, you're up.
Keith, good to see you again.
Good seeing you, Danny.
Thank you for the district conference that you put on a Saturday virtually. That was really nice timing and let me do some stuff at home while still being in attendance and download this nice background. I had a question about global grants and DDF funds. Did I read that there was a change in how Rotary International was matching funds now, and that it has to be DDF funds for those funds to be matched?
No, well, it's yes and no. There are portions of this year's funding process which is different than what we have done in the past, but there are still going to be those funds there. The DDF funds, most of the DDF for this year will be taken through the We Are One project, though that is not the extent of all of them. For those of you that don't know, with DDF, which stands for District Designated Funds, if you give $1 to the foundation and you put it into an account that's basically called a shared account, in 3 years, 50 cents of that dollar comes back to this district to be used. So the funds that we're spending on this year's program are funds that were raised during Deb's year. And so those will continue, but there are other global grant monies out there. I do want to make a quick note regarding that, and I mentioned to your board earlier, something that changed as of this weekend. If you go to rotarydistrict6600.org, which is our district website, if you go under the Grants and Funds tab, you can now contribute to the Rotary Foundation directly there. You don't have to go through myrotary.org. You don't have to go through any of those things. It's all right there on the link. And it looks like Kathy or someone's putting it up there on the screen. If you could go to the Giving and Grants, and if you, let's say, go to the Giving tab, hit that, go up one to the Giving, and you will see the different options that are there. If you scroll down a bit, it talks about all the different things that we have, all the different ways that we can. And then if you want to give now, you would click on there and you could give at that point. But it goes through all the different types of giving that there is. The endowment fund, all the different groups and how high we go. There's a section in there now that's on Mesa. You can give directly there. The Arch Clump Society, to be a Paul Harris Fellow, any of those. The Bequest Society, I want to point that out real quickly. I'm part of that. And what that is a lot of us that are younger may not have that expendable income to be able to give. Most of us will have a life insurance policy. And that life insurance policy may be $250,000, maybe $500,000 term policy. You can actually designate any amount, $10,000, $25,000, whatever the amount is, and put it in your name that if something should happen, that money would go to the Rotary Foundation. You are a member of the Bequest Society at that point. And that, granted, you're not going to be around to see someone share it, but you certainly will know that it's all going to be, people are going to be helped and taken care of. So I don't know if that answers your question completely, Danny, but at least it gives me a chance to at least tell people about that new tab.
Yeah, it does. I appreciate the extra link too, because right now Mesa's doing a fundraiser in lieu of our annual bike ride.
Right.
That's virtual. So this gives a nice way for folks to give back. So thanks again. Appreciate all the work you're doing.
Speaking of that virtual bike ride, some people thought that virtual bike ride meant that you hop on a computer operated bike or something and you're going to do that. No, what that means is, and this is not just a bike ride, this is an opportunity for you to go on your own bike ride, go on your own walk, go on your own run, and log in the amount of times and the amount of miles that you go on there. You go around and you get friends to help donate and support you for what you do. It's a wonderful way for people to give to Mesa. And for those of you that may be new that don't know, Mesa is the medical equipment supplies abroad. It is a incredible group of people with headquartered in Fostoria, where the warehouse is, where hospital equipment is taken in and sent out to all points around the world, helping folks out. Bob, I think, saw the other day the mother load of all had come in from Tiffin. Mercy Hospital Systems donated an incredible amount of equipment, diagnostic equipment that will help people for a long time. And this is equipment that I was told probably had a replacement value of about $3 million. Wow. And everyone involved with Mesa was just completely pleased with what they had received. So any other questions?
Keith.
Thanks, Danny. Hope you find your thing next time you're in Costa Rica.
I got a new one.
I want to get to the question came up. So I've got a question from George Eisetter. I'll get to him in a minute. But in the meantime, Kelly Train put a comment in the chat regarding the Mesa virtual bike ride. And so I just want to kind of give you a chance. So that is that information is on the District 6600 page. And looks like Danny put a link in there. And I'm going to put a link to the 6600 page as well for information on that Rotary tour. But all right, so and if you're not friends with Danny on Danny Woodcock on Facebook, you need to go follow him because his videos all month of his different rides are amazing. So that in and of itself might be worth signing up.
You could just follow his videos and it feels like a virtual ride.
All right, George, let's go ahead and unmute you, and you are up with DG Keith.
Well, our wonderful speaker, I was going to ask him for more detail about where to give and how to give and et cetera. And I think he's answered those questions. I will compliment you. You're silver tongued.
Well, I've been doing it for 45 years.
Were you reading part of that, by the way?
No, I memorized it all. No, I was reading.
Well, you still did great. I didn't think you could memorize that much, but that was very good. And you answered my question. Thank you.
Well, yeah. And if I can answer something, George, real quickly too. First of all, I want to commend you for the passion of which you spoke during the board meeting about the things. You've got to get members engaged. That is the way we're going to keep people involved. And if you don't get them engaged, they see no value in what it is that we do.
Exactly.
And so that's going to be key.
And today's atmosphere is sort of apathetic, and it's just too easy to, and we'll go back January 1st or whenever, and we'll have lost X number of members.
Right.
And I just don't accept that.
That's a great way to look at it. And that's why one of the things we did is why we changed that foundation page, because it was really hard for people who were new to what it is that we do to find how to give. And now we've made it about as easy as you can do it, I think.
And is this considered a district foundation?
No. Oh, no. This is the Rotary. This is the Rotary Foundation.
The Rotary what? International?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure myself.
There really actually is a Rotary District 6600 Foundation, but it really isn't even used. It's just in name only right now. And
let's say I give a little money to this.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know what it's used for?
Well, you can specify where you want it to go in terms of if you want part of your money to come back to this district, you want to make sure you pick one of the accounts that's called a share account. Share account means that, like I said, half of that's going to come back, but you can designate it to go to a particular area of service. If the environment is important to you, you can do that. The World Fund, which is that basically is saying we trust you. Rotary is considered one of the best, if not the best, foundation in the world. And if you look at our background and what the experts say, Rotary is always at the top. And that's because almost everything you give goes right back out. Why? Because I know this and you know this, and Alex knows this and Doe knows this. Most of our time is all volunteered. And so that's what it is. There, you see right there, there is, can we go to the annual fund? We could scroll down there, go down to and that explains what that is if you want to give. And then you can scroll down and you can actually have X number of dollars pulled out each month if you want to. If you want to make a one-time $25 contribution, you can do that. It doesn't matter. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. And I think
let me make one other comment.
Sure.
Hey, George, I can fill this out for you right now if you want.
Well,
I got you the $1,000 a month. You just fill in your credit card number. We're ready to go.
hold your breath a minute. I think some of the reluctance of Rotarians to give this way is because they don't have a real good feeling of exactly where that money goes and what's being done with it, as opposed to giving to our club's foundation and knowing exactly where it goes.
Well, I guess in defense of that, I will say that Charity Navigator is the kind of the benchmark by which nonprofit groups are looked at in terms of how they do, and we're number one there. If you believe in the mission of Bill Gates, Bill Gates believes in us wholly, that he gives us billions of dollars a year to fight polio.
I'm convinced that they're very valid and worthy needs, but we as individual local Rotarians don't know where that money goes. Specific. You know, if they knew that it helped give a kid in Honduras a prosthetic leg, that would be one thing.
We could give you a list of all the different projects where those funds go and how much funding went there. But specifically your particular gift, I don't know that we can do that.
Well, and I understand that. I hear you.
You know, but I think it's important to know that we manage those funds well. But I completely understand your point. Thank you, George.
That's not a criticism. I'm just talking.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you, George.
All right, if we've got any other questions, again, I'll ask you to type into the chat, or you can put your questions or raise your hand using the button in the participant tab. I'll tell you, if you physically raise your hand, it will be harder for me to identify you. I'm just gonna put that out there. All right, so Bob Savage had a comment. Bob, I'm going to go to you. I'll let you kind of share that because I think you're in this space and have some suggestions. So let me unmute you, and Bob, you're up.
Hi, Bob.
All right, Keith. And sorry, I wasn't asking to speak, but I think George does make a good point because, most of us could probably get lots of requests for money. And as opposed to something really long, like listing all of the donations, if Rotary International either maybe categorized and gave the top 10 to 20 places where the money goes, or the bigger projects, but something that kind of gave people a little more tangible thought of where the money would go.
You know what? I will get that for you. I will get that for you. Those kind of things we can get. It's just a matter of if you're looking for a specific dollar amount that someone gave and where that money went to, I don't think there's any way we can really do that. But in terms of the different projects that we do, absolutely. Yeah, I can get that.
I will say, if you've been on the 6600 page, when you click give, the website it goes to the My Rotary website in terms of walking through gifts. It's as a fundraiser for a living, somebody does it for a living. It's an impressive website that does give a lot of detail. So, all right, I know Kathy Tate has got a comment. So Kathy, I'm going to go to you, and then I think we're gonna wrap up here. So
sure. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed your presentation today, District Governor Keith.
Thank you,
I think you have your hands full. I think it's a heavy load this year, and I loved your analogy about the boat and then the calm coming. So just a really great leadership presentation. So thank you for being here today. I just wanted to say that.
I really wish I could have.
District governors are good. So any of you who are listening, I just think this is a year that is very challenging for everyone who is in a leadership role. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, I definitely want to echo Kathy's comments. Keith, what a fantastic presentation. We've all been through very, very many of them, like one a year. And you definitely made some fantastic comments that I think we can all take to heart. So we want to thank you by sending you a well-known book of Toledo, Historical Tales of Toledo, which is authored by past President Clint Mock. It's our gift to you, and it'll be mailed to you in the next several weeks.
Thank you very much.
We'll also be making it, we're not done yet. We're also going to make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name. And again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you.
So next week, we have Dr. John M. Horrick. He's from the Neil Armstrong Chair, and he is the Neil Armstrong Chair in Aerospace and holds a joint appointment between the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering and the College of Engineering and the John Glenn College of Public Affairs at The Ohio State University. He's going to talk to us about what lies ahead in space. So please be sure to tune in. A couple of quick meeting announcements. Vocational Services Committee meeting will be meeting directly after today's Zoom at 1:10. They are meeting via Zoom. We have communities, that was Vocational Services. We have Community Services meeting on August 18th at noon. The Peace Committee is meeting August 24th at 1:10 via Zoom. Disability Services Committee, August 24th, 1:15 via Zoom, and the Membership Development Committee, August 31st at 1:10 via Zoom. So again, you can see we've got a bunch of activity here with committees, and that's really how our club engages and how we work together. And now I would certainly like to introduce one of our own, Chuck Mann, to the podium, or his own podium, for Chuck's Chuckles.
Thank you, President Alex. I have two veritable gems here. The first one, a single pregnant woman got into a car accident and went into a coma. 6 months later, she woke up, and the first thing she did was ask the doctor about her baby. Babies, the doctor corrected her. You gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They're both completely healthy, and your brother named them and is taking care of them. Oh no, not my brother, the woman exclaimed. He's a bit of an idiot. What did he name the girl? Denise, the doctor answered. The woman looked relieved. She said, oh, well, Denise isn't too bad. What did he name the boy? The doctor replied, the nephew. Briefly, a man from North Carolina goes into a bar in New England. He asks the bartender, did you go to Harvard? The bartender says, Yale. The North Carolinian says, did you go to Harvard? You'll get that on the way home tonight. Thank you, President Alex.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Chuck. So with that, we are adjourned. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.